There you go. Now we are officially live. Welcome everyone again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I know we have people everywhere. It's only 11 a.m. in California right now. I know it's pretty late for those in Europe. For those in Brazil, not so much yet. We are here today with Pia. Pia is our alumni from season 2, Pia, or season 1. I am lost now. There's so many people. Season 2. And we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. I am quite excited. As I told her, not to let you be nervous or anything. I have my notebook and my pen because I think this is a theme that, especially now with things being so volatile, we are kind of all looking into it so we can have a better understanding of how that impacts on us and how that can impact on our teams. My name is Luna. I'm the program manager for Echo's Design Leadership. Today, I'll be here simply to help you out with whatever it is that she needs, but the stage is hers, and soon I'm going to let her introduce herself. And the reason why we are here, or the reason why this event even exists, it's because of Echoes. Echoes is an independent innovation lab. We're based in Brazil and in Australia. I'm here in the United States, but we also have people in Europe. So we are kind of scaling horizontally around the globe, and I love that. We have two business models. One is the Desirable Futures Lab. It's more about our consulting aspect. And we also have Echoes School, which is where design leadership, for instance, together with so many other courses that we offer, come under. This is our home here. And the purpose for Echoes now is to foster the next generation of design leaders globally. And with design leadership, with our team being global, we are achieving that goal, and I feel quite proud about it. We are the only independent lab among all of these institutions that you see here who is part of the Global Design Thinking Alliance. For the past 11 years, Echoes has been conducting design research. And actually, this course, design leadership course, comes from a big research that we conducted in 2020 with over 500 designers from all over the world. And that's the reason why we are here today talking about the course, getting all of these big names that you soon see together. And everything we do is through design, literally everything we do. We believe in the power of design. We believe that design is a tool for transformation, and especially to design preferred futures. And even though I believe that we already see design and business already as something that it's the same, we are teaching and changing mindsets about the combination or the intersection between business and design. And that's pretty much where, for instance, design leadership lives. And to talk a little bit about design leadership, it's starting in less than 2 weeks. So April 3rd is when we start. It's a journey of 10 weeks where we're going to go through, those are the names of each of the weeks, but we're going to go through these 4 pillars here, which is how we see design leadership, which is a lot about you and recognizing who you are, recognizing your tone of voice and your skill set. And I think what we're going to be talking about with Pia today is comes a lot into this specific pillar. It is about you and others. So as a leader, you need to active listen, you need to give better feedbacks, you need to understand desires to make everybody be able to coexist in one team with different goals. It is about you and the products and services and experiences that you create, and it's about you and the system where you and your company or your teams are inserted in. Some of the names coming for this season are here, big names such as Bruce Mao, Stephen Gates, Mark Stickendorn. I am super excited for Leslie Ann's session this year about design and ethics. Juliana Porozerpi, who is our CDO, talking about the futures for design leaders. Anna and Ace, they own the first metaverse store that have ever existed in Melbourne, Australia. I am super excited. And if you have more questions specifically about the program, it's with me that you're going to be talking to. So this is the face of the person behind the emails that it's answering everyone. It's exclusive for design leaders or for people who are becoming design leaders or creatives in general that are incorporating more people under their umbrella, under their care. Again, starting April 3rd, going all the way until June 14th. The sessions depend, it will always vary depending on your time zone, but we based on Sydney time. So Mondays, it could be at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Sydney time, and local times for the workshops is 9 a.m. Sydney time. And if you have questions about that, I know that we have a link that you can translate for your time zone, but if you have questions, just ask me and I'll make sure to do the work for you. And now, Pia, the stage is yours. I'm here for anything you need. And please just share all your knowledge with us. Again, I'm super excited to be co-creating this with you, and I'm honored to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Luna. Thank you for giving me the microphone to talk about this topic. It's such an important topic and right now very relevant. But maybe just a second about who I am for all of you that don't know me yet. So I'm a design leader. I'm a team lead. I have been a designer now for about 13 years. And because my background is in teaching, I decided to become a mentor. I have now mentored probably about 130 to 140 product designers. I'm an ICF accredited coach, and I'm absolutely passionate about the topic that I'm presenting today. It goes well with my personal mission. I really want to help design leaders thrive, not only survive in our jobs. I think we're much better as leaders if we actually thrive there, if we feel good. And yeah, to a point where I'm actually thinking now going into the PhD on this topic. I think it's so important. Let's see what's going to happen, but yeah, that's where I am. It's very nice to meet all of you. So before we start, because it's a small group, I will use a little bit of time in between to try and have a little bit of conversation with you if you will still like the topic and you'll stay with us. I want to make sure that because it's a topic that can be hard to talk about, we will make sure that Luna is gonna pause recording at those points so that we'll have a little bit anonymity. But otherwise, yeah, feel free to use chat. Feel free to ask questions. There is a lot to cover, and I'll go right in. But yeah, feel free to ask questions. So, Luna, do you mind if I take over the screen?
Let me do that. I'm gonna stop sharing, so I think that would be easier for you.
Mm-hmm. Let me just do this. And a second, and I will start sharing. Now, tell me what you see if I do this. Luna, can you help me and tell me what you see?
I can see your screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Only presentation, yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm sorry for the hiccup. This we saw already. Everyone that was a little bit late, this is what you missed. And it was a presentation from Luna. Good. So everyone, what makes this topic relevant now? When we started talking with Luna about what would be interesting for everyone for me to present, this was one of the topics that was on the table, and we decided for it for 3 reasons. So first of all, we're talking about design. Design is very critique oriented, which makes it one of the most impacted industries when we talk about imposter syndrome in general. So I think it's the perfect topic for this. The second reason for it was design leadership in general, at least that's my impression, is getting more traction. And because of that, like we can see people really progressing in design leadership positions, but we can also see more and more career ladders that have these dual tracks, so IC and management positions. And that on one hand is great, but on the other hand, it means that a lot of people are moving into the positions where they're more likely to feel the imposter syndrome. And the third reason, I think we all know that one, I'll call it out, layoffs. So that's the elephant in the room everywhere at this point, probably. This is one of the most present issue. It's a huge shift that is happening in a lot of lives at this point. It comes with change, it comes with challenges, it comes with lots of rejections and whatnot. Again, another point where the imposter syndrome might really flare up. So how today is going to look like, I will go through telling you very shortly about what the imposter syndrome is, its sources, the triggers. Then we'll look at the impact, and we will finish off with what can you do about it, because we want to give you not only, hey, this is the problem, but also a bit of a solution. So now I'm reading this. Imposter syndrome is an internal psychological phenomenon where a person persistently feels that their success is the product of luck rather than skill, and that they aren't as competent as others believe they are. It manifests as a constant fear that they will be identified as fraud. Okay, so this is as close to official definition as it comes. And it was, the term was coined back in 1978 by Pauline Rose Clance and Suzanne Imes. And I'm happy to share the original research on the topic. It went in the direction of this being a syndrome or phenomenon that mostly affects women. Now we know that's actually not true. So some say that it's about 50-50. My observation is that due to external factors, women are still more likely to experience it than men, but it's something that might come in the PhD, hopefully. So ask me in a couple of years, I'll tell you from my own experience. The interesting thing here are these numbers that I'm going to show you. So there was research done about how often people feel it or how many people have it. And it said, one research showed that about 70% of people, so of professionals, experience the imposter syndrome at least once, twice, a couple of times in their careers. And the more interesting is that the amount of professionals in creative industry is about 87%. I'll let this number sink in just for a second, like 87% men and women. And this particular research was done actually not long ago. It was done in 2018, and they surveyed 3,000 adults in UK. So it might be still a bit of a bubble, but still the number is huge. Now, going forward, let's look at some of the common signs. So how do we know? How does a person know that they potentially have the syndrome? You might feel that your achievements happen because of luck or external factors. I was just at the right time, on the right place. I knew someone gave me an interview, they opened the door for me, things like that. So those are the feelings. We always have reasons for why we are where we are. Or you might be feeling that you convinced someone that you're more capable than you truly are. For example, you change your career, you change your job, and you have done very well on the interview. You come to a new position and you're like, oh, I think I made a mistake. I think I don't belong here. I think they think I'm more capable than I really am. Then you might feel that anyone could achieve that. So you're nothing special. Everyone can do it. We hear a lot of the times people say, if I have done that, everyone could do it. Not true. A lot of times this is truly not true. Or you might be feeling absolutely terrible when you make a mistake. When I say absolutely terrible, I'm talking about shaking. I'm talking about having a panic attack. I'm talking about overthinking about it for hours, days on. It's bigger than life. Or you might be anxious and freeze if, for example, your boss comes to you and says, hey, can we talk? And you're like, no, go away. Again, it's this, but it is a complete freeze. It's not just, do we have to, but it's really, it's bigger than life again. Or you might even feel that every achievement that you get to, it's not this feeling where you're like high-fiving yourself, when you're proud of yourself, when you're looking forward to something new, when you're looking forward to a new achievement, but you are like, thank God it's over. Oh my God, now I need to be even better next time. Now I need to, like, the pressure just increases and increases with every single achievement that you have. Okay, so these are just some. They're not all of them. There's some, but still, I think it gives us a good direction into what are the common signs. Luna is going to send in a couple of days. So Ecos is going to send an email, a follow-up email, where we will also give you a link to a test, to an original test that they have used in this bigger research, and you can test yourself. It's not scientific, but it will give you a good insight. So if after today you're still kind of like, I don't know where I fit, that will be a good indicator as well. So this was a little bit about what imposter syndrome is. Now let's look what it isn't, because I really feel it's important to make a distinction. First of all, it's not a diagnosed mental condition. It is not a syndrome. So for it to be a syndrome, for it to be a mental condition, you would have to have different patterns, and you don't here actually. It's not a low self-esteem. So low self-esteem seeps into every corner of your life. It's everywhere. Where imposter syndrome only touches specific parts of your life, and not even all of them in the same way. So let's go a little bit out of design. For example, you have a baker. Imagine this baker getting a Michelin star for their sweets. People come to this bakery from far lands. It's amazing. Everyone loves it. This baker feels really good about their bakery and about their skills. But then they apply to a competition that is on a national TV. There, the imposter syndrome flares up. And the reason why it flared up there is because this was where this baker thought, this is where I need to succeed. And if they're not going to succeed, they will feel defeated. They might even go back and say, I suck at this. But we'll talk about the source in a minute, but this is the difference. So if the baker would have low self-esteem, they would always feel like they're not doing well enough. And very important to understand, imposter syndrome isn't incompetence. So I added here, and you can maybe screenshot, or you can look deeper into this. So we have on one end, we have the Peter syndrome and the Dunning-Kruger effect, and on the other, we have imposter syndrome. So when we're talking about imposter syndrome, we're talking about high competence. We're talking about leaders. We're talking about people that have been working on their craft for years and years and years. Okay. When we're talking about, and I'll use incompetence with a loose term, we're talking about the other two. So very quickly, Peter's principle is, so people are often promoted based on their performance in the current role, right? They're not promoted based on, oh, what are they going to be doing in the next role? And this sometimes leads to a situation where a person is promoted to a level of, we say, the first level of incompetence. And we can see that, for example, if you have a designer of many, many years, they're an amazing IC designer, so they're an amazing individual contributor, they get promoted to a managerial position, suddenly they're not necessarily a good manager. And if we don't work with this particular manager, if we don't teach them, then they're on the first level of their incompetence. And Dunning-Kruger effect, this is about people with low ability in a particular area, where they overestimate their abilities. So, and this happens because they are still in this bubble where they don't know they don't know. Right. So this is this Mount Stupid. And I really, I recommend that you read about it if you're curious about this topic, because it's quite interesting to see how you go from not having skill and thinking, oh, I'm on top of the world, I know everything. And then you start learning and then you suddenly fall off this mountain. And it's like, oh man, now I know I don't know anything. And this is where it becomes very interesting. So we're not talking about these two. We're talking about people that have experience, people that are leaders, people that have achieved certain things. And the interesting thing with imposter syndrome is also that it's not the same for everyone. So it's very, very diverse. We're very different. We're all individuals. And in research, there was also researched what we now know as 5 types. And it was researched by Dr. Valerie Young, who observed patterns in how people defined competence. So what is competence for someone? What does it take for you to be competent would be a good question to ask here. And she discovered that every single person with the imposter feelings had a distorted view on the competence. So the competence wouldn't be, I'll be competent when I finish this paper, I will be, but rather I will be competent when I finish 15 papers. Okay. And she managed to categorize different competences, or how people dealt with them, how they tried to achieve them, into 5 groups. And these 5 groups are perfectionist, soloist, superhuman, natural genius, and expert. And these are ways of how people try to reach the competence level that they believe is where they should be, or that they should reach, that they will feel competent. So let's look at them individually. And I suggest, if you have a pen and paper, maybe make a little note at where you feel like, this kind of touched me. This feels like it's hitting home. Maybe make a little note there. So perfectionist, this is probably the most common one. And a perfectionist would say something like, if it's not 100% perfect, it's not good enough. They might even say, if it's not 110%, then it's not good enough. The question that they deal with is how something is done and what the outcome is. And these are the people that believe that they can always do better. They very rarely celebrate achievements. This would be almost as growth mindset on steroids. It's like, oh, I achieved something, good. What's the next thing? I need to go higher and better. They continuously grow, but not in necessarily a healthy way. They set an impossibly high standards for themselves and then beat themselves up when they cannot reach them. Any tiny mistake will make them question their own competence. They love control. A lot of times they would have a hard time delegating. They might even at points be accused of micromanaging. But they might look into every single little things. Everything needs to be perfect. Then we have the soloist. The soloist might say something like, if I didn't do it completely alone, then I cannot take credit for. And it's all about who does the task. And this one in my eyes, is very interesting for us as designers, because design, we know it's very collaborative, especially in these days, it's becoming more and more collaborative. And people that are soloists might feel that if they're working with another designer together, if the other designer touched, that Figma file, if they changed something in it, even if the soloist has done 90% of the work before, they might feel, oh, I cannot put this in my portfolio because it's not me who I've done it. They are, I would say, the most independent type of them all. They really feel like they need to achieve achievements on their own, or there is no value in these. Then asking for help feels like an absolute failure. They might, they would rather, I would say, they would rather talk instead of asking for help, they might be asking people to, oh, now I lost the word. I'm sorry. They might be talking in requirements. That's what I was searching for. And they don't need anyone telling them what to do. Then the next one would be the superhuman. And they might be saying something like, I just need to finish this one last thing and then I'm coming. And it might be 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock. They might have a group of people waiting for them, but they just need to finish this one last thing. And it's about how many things can be achieved, sometimes even simultaneously. This group of people really pushes themselves much harder than anyone else. This could be almost a typical workaholic. They are craving external validation. They try to get it through hard work, regardless of the consequences. No matter if this is mental, physical, emotional, you might be sick and you will still be working. You might be dead tired and you might still be working because you promised to someone that you will finish this. These are the people that have left hobbies or rescheduled time with friends just to accommodate work. And they have really hard time letting go. Then we have the natural genius. It might be someone that says something like, if it feels like an effort, I might be an imposter. It needs to be easy. And the biggest question for them is how fast something can be accomplished and with how much effort. And natural geniuses believe that their self-worth is connected with how quickly they can pick up new skill. They feel like fraud if they need to make more effort than usual. They might even give up very easily if they know that, something is hard. They might, looking back, they might be those that have been labeled as the smart one in the family. The ones that always had it easy in school. They really dislike being told what to do because they can handle it. And their confidence plummets at the smallest setback. So if the tiniest thing goes wrong, then everything feels wrong. They might even avoid challenges unless they know it's going to be a success. So if they're 100% sure I'm going to succeed here, they will go for it, or they might actually not go for it. Then the expert, this is the last one, the last group. This would be someone saying something like, I just need that one more certificate and then I won't feel like this anymore. It's all about the knowledge, it's all about the growth. It's about the external validation of getting certificates, diplomas, PhDs, for example. These are the people that really believe in the power of knowledge. They believe in it so much that without it, they cannot start doing anything. So they might be the people that would say, I just need this one and then I'll do my portfolio, I will apply for the job, but I just need this one last thing. They also avoid opportunities, and this is the interesting one, especially now with the layoffs. Also, these people would avoid opportunity if they are not 100% match. So, for example, if you have an ad on, let's say, LinkedIn, and you go through the bullet points what this job wants, and you don't feel 100%, you're not fitting 100%, they would be like, yeah, no, next one, and then next one, and then next one. So those are the five types. And now I'm curious to hear from you. I see we have one comment, but Luna, maybe this would be a good time for us to pause just for a minute, see where we are, and then come back. Good. So let's talk about the source, the triggers, and the impact if we don't do anything about it. But yeah, let's do this. So where does this come from? And in order to, so in my opinion, in order to address the imposter syndrome, we really need to understand where it comes from and what triggers it. And I personally used to believe that imposter syndrome is only based on early childhood experiences and something we call conditional worth. So this is the belief that our worth is, our worth as humans is based on our actions and performance. But in my own coaching and management work, I've seen that there are also other factors that actually affect us. Two that I've observed the most would be bias and toxic environment. Tara Halliday did also a lot of research, and she's an executive coach. Her theory is actually very close to my own observation, so I'll present what she wrote about. And she says that there are three factors that are at play when we're talking about imposter syndrome. So first, you need a significant stretch. Then you need a critical environment. So environment where you have a lot of critique. And then the third one is this conditional worth that I mentioned before. And she described this with basically ABC. And the ABC stands for action, belief, and circumstances. And here the action is the activity that you feel strongly about. And this is the activity that you believe is one that will reflect badly on you if you fail at it. So it's connected with your worth, and you're not going to be worth a lot if you fail at it. So this is really something that you should be good at. So if we go back to our baker, if they really applied for this TV show and they failed there, it is something that they would expect from themselves to actually succeed, right? B, so the belief would be believe that our worth is connected with what we do, so with the action. And this is very, very deep belief. And then you have the C, which is the high challenging environment and very low supporting environment. And then, so what I've seen in my work is that, and this is my hypothesis at this point, is that B comes from childhood. So this is something that very early on we learn. You might have a small baby that their parents are looking at, and when the baby makes a noise or they smile, you know, parents smile, or an auntie comes to see the baby and they're like, oh, look, the baby did something, right? Very early on, we learned that our actions get reactions from people, and we are wired to actually search for the good ones, so the pleasant ones. And then, yeah, A and C they come later in our lives, and they can, so my hypothesis is that they serve as triggers rather than they're the source, but they are intensified by secrecy and isolation. And these two are very, very common in imposter syndrome. It's very hard to talk about your own imposter syndrome. Can you imagine going to your boss and saying, hey, I feel like I have imposter syndrome? I don't know many people that would be brave enough to do that. So yeah, when I'm talking about the action and the circumstances, I'm thinking of that in action. So leaders are often in situations where our skills are stretched. We continuously learn, we continuously go far beyond what is familiar, what we know. We are continuously challenged to reach higher and higher and higher. But then with trying new things, naturally, there are mistakes that we make. But now imagine someone with imposter syndrome making mistakes. This is absolutely unacceptable. So this is very, very challenging. And then the circumstances are the environment. So it might be toxic. This would be where there is no psychological safety, very critical environments. So environment where critique is part of the profession. And this is why I also say that creative professions are very, very high on this list. Then academia, business, then any bias, race, sex, age, disability, or impairment, office politics, bad manners, I mean, layoffs, right? All of these might actually get into this triangle. And now let's say we have this perfect match and we have the actions and the beliefs and the circumstances are not supporting us and the flare off happens. What happens when we ignore it? And I actually I was reading on LinkedIn the other day when someone suggested, hey, if you have imposter syndrome, just ignore it. Just go and do things, just ignore it. I would really not recommend that because the cost of ignoring it is really, really high for you and for your team. What happens is you develop strategies for survival, and they might be these, they might be even more, but people start to avoid situations where it's hard, when this is going to happen. There might be procrastination or even starting something but never finishing. There might be holding yourself back from promotions, from trying new things, even self-sabotaging, going into the interview and failing at it and not very obviously, but very, very sort of refined answers, or even pushing someone else forward because, okay, you're not going to fail, but someone else is going to succeed. So it's much easier to push someone else forward than yourself. Might be working in a bubble, closing yourself down, using charm or humor instead of your skills, over preparing. This one is very, very common, I would say. It's like when you're not just prepared, but really over prepared, when the anxiety is so high that you're sitting for hours and hours before you're done. But the problem is that there is always an aftermath of this, and it's very high. And for you, it would be stress that really it triggers fight and flight response. And it affects our nervous system. It affects our cortisol levels. It leads to nothing good. It helps with lack of sleep, with getting to burnout. It helps with loss of productivity. A lot of the times people then just lose the focus. They're continuously in the survival mode. They're just this week, just this week, just this week, just this week, and then it's going to be better just this week. There is no career progression, and then in the end, the cost might actually be in dollars and in euros, because a lot of the times people with imposter syndrome would not go for salary negotiations or requesting or asking for promotions, and this can actually be quantifiable. So that's that. But this one is still kind of okay. It's up to you to make the change. It doesn't affect much on other people because for imposter syndrome people, or people that feel imposter feelings, they're not necessarily seen on the outside that this is what is happening, but it's a lot of it happens inside. But if you're a manager, and because this is all about design leadership, there is an aftermath for your team potentially. And this is, you can see it's even higher list, like it has more on it. Bosses or managers with imposter syndrome set unrealistic expectations because they have these towards themselves, and they feel like the work of their team reflects on themselves, so they want to really raise the bar very, very high. They might compare with other teams saying, oh, look how well sales is doing, we need to be doing the same, and really continuously pushing people forward. Micromanagement and no delegation. This is because people love control. They need to be in control. Not asking for feedback because feedback is really, really scary. They take it to heart. Not even advocating for the team, or being super agreeable towards managing up. But this, then the team cannot do anything, right? They are basically bound. Then there might be resistance to change, toleration of the bad behavior. Basically, you create, even sometimes unconsciously, very much a toxic environment for the team. So yeah, the cost is really high for this. So I would say, let's not ignore it, but let's rather do something about it. Let's see what we can do about it. So change is hard. It's always hard, especially for people that feel like imposters. This is, I would say, almost twice as hard. And I love the theory about, if you don't know it, it's very, Luna, can you see actually also my notes? There is a really nice video that I can share it also later, but there is a theory about a rider and its elephant, and it's made by Jonathan Haidt, and he's a psychologist that says that for change to happen, it needs to be, there need to be three things. And first, you need to have a direction. So your elephant, your emotions need to have the direction. You need to have motivation. And then there needs to be, you need to shape a path. So when we're talking about having the direction, it's like, well, where are you going and how will you know that you've come there? So what is your end point, right? Starting at the end, basically knowing where you want to end up. And then motivation, especially the inner motivation. External motivation is to a point, okay, it pushes you forward, but unless you have the inner motivation, the fire, it's not going to last long. So you need something that will push you forward. And then shaping the path is like, how can you make it really easy for yourself to actually get to the end? What do you need to remove? How can you model it? And I'm going to give you the path that you can then use in your own life. It's a suggestion, but it's a little bit up and down, like any path. It's not going to be linear. It's not going to be very easy. But these are the 5 steps that I would say. Start with stopping and observing what is happening. So when you feel like something is off, when you feel like you have these feelings, oh, I really don't belong here, they're going to figure me out. Stop, breathe, observe what is happening. Then try to search for patterns. This is really good, looking back and saying, have I seen this before? Have I had this reaction before? Have I had this feeling before? Where can I find these patterns? Then use our tool, and I will show you the tool in just a second. And then step 5 would be the action, because direction or goal without action is just wishful thinking. It's nothing. So you need to do the action and then review. And I don't know if you, so when I was writing this and then I was thinking about it, I said, oh, but this is actually just design thinking in disguise. I mean, you have the problem, you have the research, then you have the ideation, and then you test it, you try it, and then you iterate. So basically it's nothing else than just that. And this is something that we designers excel at. So I employ to use it. And now about the tool. So this tool is going to be, Luna, correct me if wrong, but it's going to be sent to everyone that applied for the Firesession, right?
Yes, we can. Absolutely. Mhm.
Good. So you can still do a screenshot if you want to, but no need for it. I will prepare a PDF for you. And this is a tool, it's a very simple and small tool, but it can be very effective, very powerful if you use it as such. And it doesn't have to just be for imposter syndrome, but it can be used for any thoughts, any negative thoughts, any negative beliefs that are holding you back. It is based on the cognitive reframing, has 7 steps. And the most important thing is really to do it when you have a little bit of time just for yourself. Even if you have people around, but put on your headphones if you really need it, and make sure that no one bugs you at that point. And then you fill it in step by step. It's going to come with instruction like this. So you first look at the context, write down your thoughts, because yeah, what is happening in your head is quite important, because your thoughts then also translate into your feelings. So also looking into how am I feeling, where am I feeling it in the body, what is happening, is my heart rate faster, am I breathing normally, put everything down. And then the 2 important steps are to look into unsupportive and supportive proof. And how I personally see this is I try to, in my mind, separate myself from my imposter syndrome. So this is me and this is my imposter syndrome. And when I'm thinking about unsupportive proof, I'm thinking about the proof that that shows that my imposter syndrome is actually right. And I put it there. If I have any proof, I put it there. And it might even be that in the end, when I'm looking at it and I'm like, is this actually true? It might also be like, yeah, no, it's not even true. And then supportive is something that will push you up, is something that supports you. Okay, so these are the 2 proofs. Then you create new thought. So going back to thoughts, it's like, oh, I don't belong in this team. What would be a better thought to have? And in my coaching training, I was actually taught about an exercise where when you're creating new thoughts, you're thinking of it as if you're buying new clothes. So for example, you buy jeans, right? And jeans can be very loose, or they can be very restrictive. They can fit really nice, or they can be like, oh my God, I'm gonna die in these jeans, right? So when you're writing new thought needs to fit like really good jeans, like those that are like, oh man, I look really good in these, and I feel really good in this. And if, for example, you say, I'm only competent if I work 70 hours per week. There is a high chance that if you say, I'm competent if I work 40 hours per week, that is going to feel like, nah, this is not going to go through. Start small. Small is fine. You can start with, I'm competent if I work 65 hours per week. And then you achieve that one. And then you see how it feels. Change this thought so that it's going to be supportive. And then there is action. Here, very important, what will I do? What can prevent me? Anything that I can make this an easier success? And how will I keep myself accountable? You can involve other people. You can say, I'm going to tell, I don't know, I make a change, I make a thought, and I'm like, I'm going to tell Luna so that she can, check in with me, and then I come back to her. But it needs to be very actionable. That's that. So this is what you will get in your emails. This is something that you can use on a daily basis if you want to. You can use it whenever you need it. See and observe how it changes for you, and then yeah, I'm open for feedback. So if you feel free, if you feel like you wanna tell us about how it's affecting you, let us know. But this is all from my side. Thank you everyone for listening to me. I hope you got a good insight into what the imposter syndrome is, what it isn't, what it can have an effect on, where it comes from, and what you can do about it. And I hope it's useful.
Yeah, I love this, and I can totally see myself printing a couple of this and using for different reasons and different occasions. And I will make sure to send the PDF, at least for those who are here.
Yes.
And most likely as well, the PDF for those who already signed up. So if you're watching this later, you can email me in case I haven't received it, and we can easily do that for you. And the link for the little video that you referred to, we can also add to the description of our YouTube channel. But I love this, and I really hope that many, many people will see this. This is going to be recorded and available at Echo's channel on YouTube. And if anyone wants the recording, most likely we'll be sending afterwards as well. Echoes will. And if you need it, again, let me know. Pia, I am so grateful for you. This is amazing. And if you do decide to go on your PhD, I think the universe can only benefit from this. I think this is it for now in terms of your lecture. And just to relate back to Echo's Design Leadership, as I said, on the 3rd of April, which is in less than 2 weeks from now, we are launching season 3. I cannot believe that this is a journey that has been 3 years already. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you want Pia's perspective on it, Pia, maybe people can find you on LinkedIn.
Yes,
And
please.
I'll keep talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing. I think this is highly useful, especially at time and age where people are just so lost because of what's happening. So thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.